Welcome to the Smarter Science of Slim, the scientifically proven program where you eat more and exercise less to burn fat and boost health.
Eat smarter, exercise smarter, live better. I am so ready for that. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Calorie Myth Show, where I have a laughing Mr. Baylor joining me, and my name is Carrie Brown.
Carrie really, that was the gusto intro there. She was like, boom, turbo, Carrie. I like it because you're excited because this is another week where we get to put your life under the microscope. So that's exciting.
Yes, 4 episodes. Who knew?
So yes, folks, if you haven't listened to the previous 3 episodes, please do so because they reflect upon an awesome experience I recently had, which is Carrie and I had spent some time apart because we had quite the backlog of recordings and the holidays and many other things happened. And then I saw Carrie. She burst onto the scene and it was like, boom, even saner, Carrie. It was shocking and it was delightful. And I was very proud of her. So we have been talking about the things she's been doing to really amplify her sanity. And this week we are going to cover the final component, which are some observations she's made and some research I've done around the A word, appetite.
Appetite.
Today's episode is brought to you by the letter A. Or appetites. Okay, what has been going on with your appetite?
Well, everyone that's been listening to this show for any amount of time will know that my appetite is legendary. That for the last, how long we've been doing this, 20 months, I have been able to eat Jonathan under the table and pretty much anyone else around me. And then if you've listened to the last 3 shows, you'll know that I've been having a metamorphosis and I have transformed myself into a much saner version in various ways. And one of the things I noticed was that my appetite has absolutely tanked.
And this has been not necessarily like you're correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not like, oh my God, catastrophic, my appetite is tanking. It's just a neutral perception like, I'm just not hungry.
Well, originally, first out the gate, I was what is happening to me? I'm not hungry anymore. I can't eat very much food anymore. What's happening? Am I sick? Is this bad? Oh my goodness, this is terrible. Where's Jonathan? Jonathan, help me. I'm on email going, Jonathan, ah! And of course, Jonathan came back with a typical Jonathan-esque response.
Which was what?
Which was, don't worry, was essentially don't worry about it. That was the email response. But then when we got together and I asked the same question, should I be worried because I just can't consume the amount of food that I used to? Should I be worried about this? And he said, no, you shouldn't, because here's what's happening. You have, by all the other things you're doing, you've switched on your fat burning hormones. So you're now burning body fat. And because of that, you now don't need to consume the same amount of food to provide that energy, because your body's going, ooh, look, there's some fat there. I'll just take that. So I now don't need to consume as much food. And so my appetite has automatically regulated itself so that I'm only eating the amount of food I need to supplement the fat burning that's going on within my body.
Amazingly well stated, Carrie. And this is if you have a conversation with a person who still thinks that obesity is a moral failing and that people just need to eat less and exercise more, I would encourage you to tell them the following. Imagine you have a person, this is not hard to imagine in our culture today. Let's call this person Tom. Tom has 100 pounds of excess body fat on his body. So there's no, Tom weighs 400 pounds. Tom's ideal body weight is not 400 pounds. So there's lots of extra fat, 100 pounds, 125 extra pounds of fat on his body. We assume that a pound of fat has about 3,500 calories in it. Tom, who's got, let's say, 125 pounds of excess fat on his body, is carrying around 500,000 calories in his body. There are already 500,000 calories in his body. why does Tom's brain ever make him hungry? He's drowning in calories, yet his body is saying, you don't have enough and need to eat more. So that is not Tom being weak. That is Tom having his brain tied behind his back because of inflammation and all the kinds of things we've talked about here on the show. And what Tom experienced or will experience, what Carrie experienced, and what we can all experience is once we heal the system itself, heal our gut, heal our hormones, and heal our brain, we can just supplement the calories we're taking in through our lips from calories that are already stored on our hips. And when we maximize the nutrition of the food we're eating, this is why non-starchy vegetables are so important, as well as nutrient-dense protein. We don't have a bunch of stored vitamins and minerals on our body, so we have to get those through our diet. But when we eat concentrated sources of essential proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals, which is exactly what a sane lifestyle does, when it comes to getting calories, you've already got them, so you experience what Carrie experienced and what the research literature calls a spontaneous reduction of caloric intake, meaning you are not hungry, you are not low on energy, your sex drive does not diminish, you're not preoccupied with food, but often in clinical settings, individuals will spontaneously consume 1,000 fewer calories per day. So they're not trying, they don't feel bad, they're not cold, they're not tired, they're not hungry on 1,000 fewer calories per day. How's that possible? Because they're just supplementing what's going through their lips with what's coming off their hips.
If this has happened to anyone else, or if this happens to you, you don't need to worry about it. And the other, apart from the fact that I've been spontaneously eating a whole ton of calories less because I haven't been hungry, it's also laser focused me on what I do eat, because if you have a very small appetite, it's critical that what you do eat is super sane.
Absolutely. This week, probably a year ago, if not more, Carrie, we were recording, and I remember saying that one of the things I was struggling with was because I consciously ate as many calories as I could historically because I wanted to be bigger and build muscle, I was trying to do the same thing, but on sane foods. And it was causing, I was uncomfortable. You can't do it because these foods are so nutritionally dense and they're so satisfying that's why focusing on really eating sane foods, like, are grains going to kill you the second you eat them? No. But if you're eating grains, you're not eating non-starchy vegetables. And if your body is going to get full extremely quickly because it is running properly, you're now going to be you're going to have a nutrient deficiency because you get full really fast and you just crowded out the vegetables off your plate.
Right. So for me, yes, I'm eating way less calories per day, but that's just happened by default. And two, I have become, it's become critical to me that what I do eat, because I have such a small appetite now, is that I'm very, very careful about what I put in it.
Yes, you are more precise because you have essentially less at bats. You're eating less. And again, it's not the point here, folks. And this is a really critical distinction. So if you are listening to this while doing something else, really dial in here for a second. And obviously we talk about this in detail in the Calorie Myth book. There is an enormous difference from having a healthy body and such a sane, nutrient-dense diet that you automatically consume an appropriate number of calories. That is completely different from taking a nutritionally deficient diet and a broken mind, gut, and hormones and saying, I am going to consciously deprive you and be hungry and tired and sad as a result. They are yes, fewer calories are being consumed in both situations, but actually you could argue that even that's not true, because in the situation of starvation, you're consuming fewer calories, but your body is responding by burning fewer calories. in the situation where you're adapted to burning your own fat and you're taking in sufficient nutrition, you take in fewer calories. You take in fewer calories because you're burning more of your own calories. So instead of taking in fewer calories and causing that to drop the number of your own calories you're burning, you are taking in fewer calories because you're burning more of your own stored calories. Does that distinction make sense?
Mm-hmm. So for me, it was the reduction in my appetite has been one of the best signs that my fat burning hormones had been switched on. So that if you're looking for signs to see that things are changing for you, where your weight is not necessarily going down, if you're looking for signs to know that you're changing, that was a huge one for me. But I actually feel different. I mean, on so many levels since this has happened. So switching on my fat burning hormones has proven to me from my own experience that your body, when it's working correctly, the calories, everything happens automatically. Your body regulates these things automatically once you've turned on those fat burning hormones. Just like Jonathan says in his book, just like the research says, I have actually now experienced that in my own life.
It makes sense from a historical perspective as well, Carrie, because could you imagine a lot of us who maybe have not gone completely sane are probably familiar with feeling hungry every 2 hours. You eat breakfast, hungry in 2 hours, hungry in 2 hours, hungry in 2 hours. Could you imagine back before we had all this industrialization and food and we were more just hunting and gathering, if we were hungry, like hungry every 2 hours, like that can't, we're not supposed to be hungry all the time, that unless you're very, very thin, because if you're very, very thin, you don't have any supplementary fat on your body. So this is often why not people who are thin, this is another brain exploding statement, so hopefully it makes sense. People who are thin are often going to be hungry frequently because they don't have any other source of calories to burn. Whereas if you are heavier and you are in the process of thinning out, you're probably going to eat dramatically less because you're going to consume fewer calories. You're probably going to consume an incredible volume of food because vegetables and proteins are very large. And what you might find is that once you do achieve your ideal body weight, your appetite comes back a bit because you've achieved your ideal body weight and you now are not so much relying on stored body fat because your body has reached a new state of homeostasis and you've got a healthy appetite and you've got a healthy body composition, which is lovely.
So a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about routine, we noted that my routine is different to yours in that I'm eating at 7 a.m. and noon and 6 p.m. That's really helped me. And Jonathan said that he just eats when he's hungry and stops when he's full, and he might eat 8 times a day. The difference between Jonathan and I in that regard, his appetite is much bigger now than mine, is because I am supplementing with food, whereas Jonathan doesn't have any stored body fat. So he needs to eat more. So his appetite is naturally bigger than mine because he needs to get all his calories from food. Whereas right now, because I'm heavily into fat burning mode, I have calories stored. I don't need to eat as much food, so I'm not. But I expect that when I reach my ideal body weight, that my appetite is going to go up again. And then I may not have to be so routine about when I eat because my appetite has changed.
And this is a very easy thing to misinterpret, right? Because we always talk about eat more, exercise less, do it smarter. And that is very true. The average American is not consuming the appropriate volume of food. The volume of food we need to consume when we eat things like vegetables and protein is dramatically higher. It's between 2 and 4 pounds of food per day to heal our body. But once our body is healed, That's, again, when you get to the state Carrie is describing here, and a great way to tell whether or not you're in the safe and healthy mode of your body is healing itself and is therefore burning stored body fat, which causes your appetite to fall. If that's happening, a couple things. You won't be hungry, which I know sounds obvious, but so you're not hungry, you're not tired, you're not cold, you're not moody, and your sex drive hasn't gone away. That means this reduction of calories is caused by your brain appropriately because it is supplementing the calories you're eating with the calories you're burning. Now, contrast that to the mainstream starvation approach. You eat less, but it results in hunger, crabbiness, you're cold, your brain is foggy, and often your sex drive goes away. So it's very easy to detect which of those things you're doing. If you're hungry, tired, crabby, and cold, that is you trying to force your body to eat less, which will not work. If you're happy, energetic, virile, and firing on all cylinders, your body is in the process of healing itself. So keep on going.
And it feels amazing.
And that's this whole, people want to get amped up at calorie this, calorie that, whatever. Like, again, vitamin C. You don't have to count vitamin C in and vitamin C out, vitamin D, vitamin E, riboflavin. What about water? None of these things require conscious regulation. So what you'll find is that once you heal the system itself, it will regulate you automatically. And of course, if there's an overabundance of calories on your body, you would expect that automatic regulation would decrease the amount of calories you're consuming. But again, not because you're stupid and lazy and a glutton, but because it's already got them. And then once it burns them off, it just re-regulates that back up. Makes sense.
That has been exactly my experience. And just to reiterate, it really worried me at first. I was panicked that there was something wrong with me because it was so sudden and so dramatic. So if you are one of those people that has found that has happened, don't worry about it. And just but still live the same way. Eat non-starchy veggies first, then proteins, then your fats, and just eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And don't worry so much about the total volume of food you're eating. Don't make yourself uncomfortably full.
Speaking of appetite, Carrie, I wanted to bring up something that has really impacted me recently in terms of my own appetite, and I've been digging into the research a little bit, and is not in any of the calorie myths. It's in none of my books because it's relatively cutting edge, and that is the impact that certain things that you wouldn't necessarily think influence your appetite do influence your appetite, such as visual cues and things like that. So what I mean specifically here is, and this is a very concrete example that all of our listeners can try. Scramble 2 eggs and eat them. And then wait till you're about the same level of hunger. Soft boil 2 eggs. Don't soft boil your legs. Soft boil 2 eggs. And when I say soft boil, I mean that when you crack and peel them, the yolk is liquidy. And then eat those. I bet you will feel way more satisfied after eating 2 soft boiled eggs than you do eating 2 scrambled eggs, despite the fact that in both cases you ate the exact same thing. Now,
okay, curious,
try it, literally try it, because here's what's going on. There's been a lot of studies done where the perceived, like how satisfying we think something is going to be and how rich it tastes, influences our satiety signals in addition to the nutrition and calories in the food. So oftentimes, if you eat just scrambled eggs, it's you don't so much like the yolk of an egg, when you eat it in more of its raw liquidy form, it tastes extremely decadent and rich. Like it has this, if you've ever had Eggs Benedict or anything custard that's made with egg yolks, like it's got a really decadent taste to it. But that decadence is sometimes hidden when you eat scrambled eggs. Whereas when you eat a hard-boiled egg, that when you bite into the egg and the yolk is creamy and you taste it as a distinct flavor, it causes something different to happen in your brain. It causes something different to happen with your satiety signals. And because of that, we can, by making our food look more decadent, or by enjoying things that we might think are decadent, but are actually relatively healthy for us. A great example is a baked or microwaved pork rind. Pork rinds are thought of as this very negative thing that we should never eat, whereas in reality, if you compare them to other snack foods, they are way saner. They're about 50% fat and 50% protein from where they get their calories from perspective, and they taste extremely decadent, and they almost seem like something you shouldn't be eating. So what I've found is if you eat a very small amount of microwave pork rinds, and again, the pork rinds should just be pork rinds, maybe with some salt, not with a bunch of other garbage, not fried, you'll find that in such a limited amount of calories, these pork rinds make you feel more satisfied than if you ate an entire bag of potato chips. Because just the way they taste, you can actually delineate the taste of the fat. It feels and tastes more decadent, and therefore it's more satisfying. So there are these interesting triggers in terms of how we perceive food and how the food actually tastes that influences our appetite and satiety as well.
Language update. Pork scratchings if you're in the UK.
Pork, that sounds horrible. Pork scratchings. Don't do that. But yeah.
Favorite pub food.
And no, and do be like when I say pork rinds, there's of course I forget the ones I get mine. I got mine on Amazon, and they're the you just stick them in the microwave. There's no frying going on. There's no industrial oils going on. The ingredients are pork rinds, or whatever a horrible term Carrie just used.
Scratchings.
There
Pork
you go.
Scratchings.
So, and then another more concrete example of this is if you had a roll which was made with butter actually in the recipe, and if you had a roll which was maybe not made with butter, but people put butter on top of the roll with the butter on top of it would be more satiating, more satisfying, because it would be perceived as more decadent because you can see the butter. So doing just, I don't know. I mean,
we do not recommend eating rolls.
Of course. If you're going to use butter, though, maybe the takeaway is like watch yourself put the butter on the food versus someone else doing it, and you might actually experience a different type of satiety and satisfaction based on how decadent you perceive something to be or how decadent it consciously tastes.
Fascinating.
Boom! So all kinds of ways our appetite may change based on things other than like taking a appetite suppressant or willpower or these other nonsensical things, which we are going to be much smarter than and embrace the awesomeness that is our body's automatic regulation of things. Boom!
Appetite. Appetite is a great sign.
And I love it. And I'm Carrie. This is the final episode in which we are going to put you under the microscope. So I'm going to give you the little golf clap here for your wonderful success. And again, thank you for sharing that success with the listeners. I'm sure it's helped them.
My only hope is that something from my experience will help them to get some better results for themselves.
Love it, folks. This week and every week after, eat smarter, exercise smarter, and live better. We'll chat with you soon.
See ya.
Wait, don't stop listening yet.
You can get fabulous free SANE recipes over at carriebrown.com.
And don't forget your 100% free eating and exercise quick start program, as well as free, fun, daily tips delivered right into your inbox at baylorgroup.com. That's BAILOR group.com.